Mr. Baez, you may proceed, sir.
May it please the court. Mr. Burdick. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, Mrs. Anthony.
Hello.
Mrs. Anthony, is it fair to say you and Casey are very much alike?
In many ways, yes.
Okay. In fact, is that not what you hear quite often, that you are exactly alike?
In most ways, yes.
And you raised Casey to be a good person.
Yes, I did.
And you raised Casey to be caring
Yes, I did.
and loving as well.
Yes.
And you raised Casey to always tell the truth.
I thought I did. Yes, I did. I tried.
And you got to see what kind of mother Casey became, did you not?
Yes, I did.
And what kind of, can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury what kind of mother Casey is?
Casey was a very loving, very caring mother. She had a very easy, quick maternal instinct that was very evident as soon as Caylee was born. And she reminded me of myself when my kids were born, how just natural she was with Caylee. And they were just great together.
And how did Caylee respond to Casey?
Caylee adored her mom. Her eyes would light up. She'd run to her and love on her. And in fact, Caylee didn't want to sleep without her mom. Caylee adored her.
Caylee followed Casey everywhere she went, did she not?
Pretty much.
And would cry all the time, every time she left?
No, not when it was either George or myself, because she would cry a little bit, but she knew we were there, so it wasn't a big separation anxiety when I was there. Now, I didn't notice if I was already gone and Casey left her with one of her other sitters. I don't know how that was.
You never witnessed Casey abuse or torture Caylee in any way, did you?
No, I did not.
And Caylee never went without food or shelter or anything that she ever needed in life?
No, she had everything.
Now, you testified under direct examination that the first time you went to the or the first time Casey went to the doctor was on June 30th of 2005.
No, that was when
I'm sorry, go ahead.
June 30th is when I found out that Casey was pregnant. To my knowledge, she went to the doctor a few days before.
And you went to your brother's wedding on June 7th, did you not?
Yes.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
Without showing this to the jury, madam, I'm going to now show you Defense Exhibit A. Did you recognize that photo, ma'am?
Yes.
And is that a photograph of you and Casey at your brother Rick's wedding?
Yes.
And at that time, when that photograph was taken, you did not believe that Casey was pregnant.
No, I did not.
And at that wedding, you were actually confronted about Casey's pregnancy by your brother, were you not?
We were sitting at the dinner table, and Casey had flown in earlier that day, and she was sick and wanted to go lay down. And my brother asked if she might be pregnant, and I told him no. I do
So
not believe so.
So you were confronted by your brother at that time?
He brought the subject up that she might be pregnant, and my parents and my husband and I were there, and
And at that time, you told him, no, she was not.
at that time, yes, I told him, no, we did not believe that she was pregnant.
And George was present during this conversation.
Yes,
And both of you indicated that Casey was not pregnant.
correct.
And you mentioned under direct examination that Casey, during that time period, was sedentary.
Pretty much so. I mean, for her work, previously, she was walking the entire park at Universal, doing photos and such, and then she had taken a sedentary position in human resources. Her and I would walk, but she wasn't running or walking all day. We'd walk in the evening for a few minutes, but to me, that's still sedentary.
Miss Anthony, if you can just answer my question, I appreciate it. The question was, you had testified that she was sedentary. Is that correct? Okay. And for those of us who don't know what that means, that basically means lack of physical activity, correct?
Yes, that you pretty much have a sit-down job.
And are you certain it wasn't that she didn't get these? Well, let me strike that and ask you this. Are you certain it wasn't because she was overly active or participating in sports that she got that way?
What way, sir? I don't understand the question.
With the large protruding belly, are you certain that it wasn't because she was participating in sports?
Casey wasn't participating in sports during that time.
Okay. So it's the complete opposite. It's because she was not engaging in physical activity
At
that you thought that way.
Yes, at that time, yes.
Now, you're aware that Casey has been incarcerated for the last 3 years, are you not?
I've been aware every day of my life for the last 3 years, yes, sir.
And you're aware that she spends 23 hours a day in a cell?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That would pretty much classify her as sedentary during that time period. Would you not agree?
Yes, sir.
As you see Casey today, does she have a large belly or a protruding belly?
I haven't been close enough to see her, but I know she's not eating, so I don't know what activities she's allowed or can do.
Your Honor, may I ask Miss Anthony to please stand with your permission so that Mrs. Anthony can identify her?
Approach. The defendant may stand.
Mrs. Anthony, can you see your daughter?
I can see just from her chest up.
May the witness stand down, Your Honor?
She may.
Can you please look at your daughter and then go back to the witness stand once you've had an opportunity to view her? Does your daughter appear to have a protruding belly as she did at your brother's wedding?
She's not as big as she was during that period of time, no.
Now, I'd like to ask you some questions about when Casey actually did go to the doctor. Okay?
Okay.
Now, she went on, you said you think she went a couple days before the 30th.
She told me she went a few days before. Casey was having some female issues, and we were concerned that she might have an ovarian cyst. She was bloated, she was hurting, she was not feeling well, and her periods were more often than normal. So I had implored her to go to see the doctor, and she told me that she had gone earlier that week to see the doctor.
And she eventually was referred to a Dr. King, was she not?
That was on her, after her second visit, from my understanding.
And that was a gynecologist.
Yes,
And that was the first time that she had actually seen a gynecologist, correct?
yes,
And she was 19 at the time?
yes,
Now, you've testified that your daughter had irregular periods
yes,
and that you thought that she might have had a cyst.
yes.
And when did Casey first get her period?
When she was 12. Actually, excuse me, when she was 10.
She was 10. And from the age of 10 to the age of 19, being a medical professional, you never considered taking her to a gynecologist.
Going to a gynecologist is pretty traumatic for a child. I remember I didn't go till I was like 17 or 18 years old. No, I considered it, but she wasn't having issues that weren't what I considered, pretty much like me. When you compare that her and I are a lot alike, we're a lot alike in that way as well with our periods.
Despite the fact that she was having irregular periods?
That just started just a few months prior to me finding out she was pregnant.
Do you know when she had her first sexual partner?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to this. First of all, it's based on,
Now, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about some of Casey's imaginary friends. First of all, let me ask you this. Who's Caylee's father?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. Any knowledge will be based on hearsay.
Overruled to the extent that the answer comes from Caylee Anthony. If it comes from someone other than Caylee Anthony, you can't answer the question.
When Casey first told me she was pregnant, naturally, the first thing I asked her is who the father was. And she, at that time, told me that it was Jesse Grunt.
Now, you didn't wait till Caylee was born to ask her who the father was.
No.
You asked her right away?
Right away, yes.
Because that's what a concerned parent would do.
Yes.
And there came a time where you found out that Jesse Grunt was not Caylee's father. Did you not?
Yes.
And subsequent to that, who did you think Caylee's father was?
She gave me a name of Eric Baker.
And did you ever meet anyone by the name of Eric Baker?
No, sir, I have not.
What did Casey tell you about this Eric Baker?
That he was 2 years younger than her, and that he,
Your Honor, I'm going to object to any further hearsay on this issue.
Well, Ms. Anthony, as long as you're telling us something that your daughter told you.
yes, sir.
Okay.
Please continue.
He was 2 years younger than her, and he was an old friend, and she had seen him about the time that she started seeing Jesse. He was in town and upset about a girlfriend or such, and I guess they got together. It was one night, and Eric lived out of state and was back in a relationship with his girlfriend that he was having difficulty with when Casey said they got together.
And what state was he from?
I'm pretty sure she said like Kentucky, North Carolina, somewhere there.
And at this point, did you make any attempts to meet Eric Baker?
No,
Did you want to speak to Eric Baker at any time?
no,
Did Casey tell you that she wanted you to meet Eric Baker?
no.
Did there come a time where meeting Eric Baker was not possible?
Yes.
And how did that all come about?
It was about a week or two after Caylee's second birthday that Casey called me at my work, and she was hysterical on the phone. And she told me that Casey's father was involved in a car accident. And she had just found out. And she also told me at that time that Caylee had a half-brother.
And what is Caylee's half-brother's name?
I have no idea.
Is Eric Baker on Caylee's birth certificate?
No, nobody's on, no father's listed on Caylee's birth certificate.
Now, do you think Eric Baker exists?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to her opinion,
Pardon?
to any opinion, testimony.
Sustain.
Do you have any evidence that Eric Baker is Caylee's father?
Objection. It would be based on any hearsay.
Sustain.
Do you have any evidence that Eric Baker ever existed?
Next question,
Objection.
Mr. Baez. Objection is sustained.
Tell me about Jeff Hopkins. You've testified quite a bit about him during direct. He is a wealthy man.
Do you want me to tell you how I learned about him, or?
Sure.
Casey was engaged to Jesse, and it was sometime around Valentine's Day of 2006. And she was telling me, this is about the time Casey was starting to vocalize issues of her and Jesse's relationship. And she started telling me about this young man that she worked with that was an IT at Universal. Actually, I guess he worked for Nickelodeon Studios at the time. And he had a little boy, and she said that she thought he was a nice young man, and he had befriended her, and she was confiding in him about her relationship with Jesse.
Did Casey tell you these things on pretty much a daily basis, or is this all information you heard on one day?
No, this is over the course of a period of time. I mean, I heard about Jeffrey Hopkins from that point on through, Kate, until I found out about Caylee.
And Jeffrey Hopkins had a child named Zachary.
Yes.
And did you ever see a photograph of Zachary?
I saw a picture of Zachary and Jeffrey on Casey's cell phone months later. It was probably towards the fall or winter of 2006 that when Casey's phone was on, I guess, was just sitting there, the picture was of Zachary and Jeff, and she had him listed as boyfriend in her phone.
Have you since come to find out that Jeffrey Hopkins does not exist?
I never knew for sure if he did or not, so if you're telling me that he doesn't exist now, then
Are you aware that law enforcement looked for him?
yes.
And are you aware that no such Jeffrey Hopkins ever worked for Universal Studios?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. It's based on
Sustain.
Do you have any evidence, other than the photograph that you saw, that there ever was a Jeffrey Hopkins?
Objection. Same basis.
Sustained.
Do you ever speak to Jeffrey Hopkins?
No,
You had, that you testified under direct, a girls' day at the mall with Jeffrey's mother?
we were supposed to meet up with Jeffrey's mom and Zachary for Christmas pictures with Santa Claus, Christmas of 2007.
And what was Jeffrey's mother's name?
Jules,
Jules. And did you ever speak to Jules?
no, I did not.
Did you ever see a photograph of Jules?
No, I did not.
Did you ever have a phone number for Jules?
Yes, I did.
Did you ever call it?
No, I never had the opportunity where I needed to.
Now, it turned out that Jules had cancer.
Casey told me that those last few weeks in July of 2008, that Jules had cancer.
And did you get an invitation to go to her wedding?
No. As my understanding, it was an impromptu thing that just occurred that week.
Do you know if Casey got an invitation to go to her wedding?
Casey told me that she was attending Jules' wedding and that was delaying her from coming home from Jacksonville.
And it turns out that Zach's mother was also deceased.
Yes,
It's your understanding that Jeffrey Hopkins was how old compared to Casey?
how old?
Yes. Were they the same age, Casey and Jeffrey Hopkins?
No, I believe Jeffrey was at least 2, if not 3 or 4 years older than Casey.
And they both had children who were approximately 2 years of age.
No, Zachary was a year older than Caylee.
They both had toddlers,
Yes,
and both of these toddlers' parents, other parents, were deceased.
yes,
So Jeffrey Hopkins was a widower.
my understanding is that Jeff took custody of Zachary when he was 2, that Zachary's mother, previous to that, was a single mom, and Jeff had no idea that he was a father, and then found out when his old girlfriend passed away that he actually was a father.
I guess what I'm trying to get at is Zachary's mother was deceased. Yes.
Yes,
And Caylee's father was deceased.
yes,
And Casey wanted to move in with Jeffrey Hopkins and the 2 children together.
at some point, I believe that that's Casey's wishes.
And that's what Casey had dreamed of.
That's what Casey, told me that was what she would like to do someday.
Were there ever any plans set in place to make this family happen?
There were lots of plans that we were supposed to get together with him and meet him and his family, and that never happened.
In fact, there was one time where you guys planned a barbecue.
There were several times that we planned things, and something always came up that we never got to meet him.
Do you recall planning a barbecue?
Not specifically a barbecue, but I remember we're supposed to go to SeaWorld and different things.
And when did those plans get canceled? Were they
Always
the
a-
day of or the day
Oh.
before?
Always the day of.
The day of. And did you ever have a situation where you went out and bought food because you were going to meet Jeff?
Yes,
And you had planned a dinner that you were going to prepare, or barbecue or anything like that?
there was lots of times when I thought he was going to come over that I would either make a cake or something, if I knew I did that for all of the kids' friends. If someone new was coming, I always tried to have food, and, you don't want someone over to your house sitting there unprepared.
And Did you share this with people, this information of this wonderful guy that named Jeff Hopkins?
Absolutely.
You told your coworkers?
Yes.
Did it ever occur to you, Cindy, that these people weren't real?
No, sir.
And this was long before June 16, 2008, wasn't it?
Correct.
And you had heard these stories of these imaginary people for quite some time.
I did not know they were imaginary people.
I know that, but you had heard these for quite some time.
Yes.
Juliette Lewis, who is she?
I was told she was a coworker of Casey's through not only Universal Studios, but also someone she worked with at Hard Rock Cafe.
And did you ever speak to Juliette Lewis?
No, I did not.
What does she look like?
I could only tell you a description that Casey gave me. I've never seen her.
And why does she describe her to you?
I remember one day we were sitting in Universal parking lot waiting for her boss and Juliette to arrive because I was volunteered to help Casey with a fundraiser.
And how long did you wait for Juliette before she never showed up?
Hour and a half.
Did you call Juliette?
No, Casey called Juliette.
And did you ever have an opportunity to speak to Juliette?
No, sir.
Do you have any evidence or any knowledge as to whether Juliette Lewis ever existed?
The only thing I remember, Caylee, when I'd ask her about Juliette's daughter, Annabelle, Caylee would repeat the name Annabelle like it was familiar to her. So,
And how would Caylee mention Annabelle?
if I would say to Caylee that day before I go to work or whatever, was if I knew that Casey was going to see Juliette and Caylee might see Annabelle, because sometimes Zanny was supposed to have watched Annabelle for Juliette as well, I would say, "You're going to play with Annabelle today," and her eyes would light up, and she would say, "Annabelle."
She would just repeat the name.
Yes.
How old was Annabelle?
The same age as Caylee.
Did you ever see any photographs of Annabelle?
No, sir, I did not.
Did you ever have any play dates with Caylee and Annabelle?
No.
Who is Raquel Farrell?
I believe Raquel Farrell to be Zanny's roommate.
And what does she look like?
I've never seen Raquel.
Did you ever speak to Raquel Farrell?
No.
Did you ever see a photograph of Raquel Farrell?
No.
Do you have any evidence that Raquel Farrell ever existed?
No.
Is Raquel Farrell the one that worked at Fridays?
I don't know where Raquel Farrell worked at.
Now, I'd like to talk about Zanny the nanny. Did you ever see a photograph of Zanny the nanny?
No.
Did you ever speak to Zanny the nanny?
No.
When was the first time you heard of Zanny the nanny?
The same time I heard about Jeffrey Hopkins, around Valentine's Day of 2006.
This was over 2 years and basically 2.5 years before June 16, 2008.
Yes, sir.
And what did Casey tell you about Zanny the nanny?
She didn't call her Zanny the nanny, by the way. She called her Zanny, and she said that that was Jeff's girlfriend, and that they lived in the same apartment complex. And Jeff pretty much offered Zanny up as a extra person if Casey ever needed a babysitter, because at that time it was her girlfriend Lauren and the Gruns, or George and I, that was watching Caylee, those hours that my schedule overlapped with Casey's.
And you had no idea that Zanny was not a real person.
No, I did not.
And she described to you that Zanny looked like what?
Over the course of the 2 years, Zanny had gotten her hair cut several times, but when I first heard about her, she had long black hair and was very attractive.
Did she say she was a perfect 10?
That came up later. I didn't hear that prior, right in the beginning. I heard that she just was a beautiful person on the inside as well as the outside and had a great smile.
Was Zanny Hispanic?
I don't think the conversation ever came up. I don't think I ever asked. That was not a qualification for Casey's friends or anybody to babysit Caylee.
Did Zanny the nanny speak Spanish?
Possibly. Casey spoke some Spanish. She took, I believe, 3 years of Spanish in high school.
And did Zanny the nanny teach Caylee how to count in Spanish, or was that Casey that did that?
I believed it was between Zanny, Casey, and Dora the Explorer that Caylee was able to speak Spanish and count.
How would Casey prepare on a daily basis to pack up and take Caylee to Zanny the nanny?
I was never home to see her pack for Caylee to take her to Zanny's, so I could not tell you that.
Were you there when they came home?
Yes.
And did Caylee appear to be excited from spending the day with Zanny the nanny?
When Caylee either would come through the door, I would come through the door, the first thing was we would run to each other, and it didn't matter what Caylee did for the day. It was what her and I were going to do with the rest of the day. So we really never talked about that.
But surely you asked her, did you have a fun day? Or
Oh, yes. There was one occasion where I was actually kind of concerned that Caylee had some scratches on her legs, and I thought that they looked like cat or dog scratches. And I asked her what had happened to her. And she said a doggy had scratched her. So I asked Casey about it, and she said that Zanny had gotten a new puppy, and the puppy had scratched Caylee.
what was the puppy's name?
I don't recall.
And were there ever times? Well, let me ask it this way: how often throughout the week for almost 2 years did Caylee stay with Zanny the nanny?
Not that often. Most of the time, there was weeks at a time where Caylee wouldn't stay with anybody other than myself. Zanny was someone that filled in. If Casey had to work while I was at work or George was unavailable. Otherwise, most of the time, Casey dropped Caylee off at my work or would meet me in the parking lot, and then I would have Caylee in the evenings.
Did Casey ever describe, prior to June and July of 2008, did Casey ever describe any problems that Zanny the nanny was having in her life, in her personal life?
Just that period of time. Well, there were different times during those 2 years where Zanny had to move. She talked to me about Zanny's mom being ill and different things like that. And Zanny had another part-time job, and she just babysat. And I guess when her and Jeffrey broke up, Zanny got a job as a bartender to fill in financially from not being able, making money from, watching Zachary. So, there was different, she would talk to me about Zanny's life like she was one of her friends, and that's what she considered her, and that's what I considered her to be, is a friend of Casey's at that point.
And did Zanny's mother have cancer too?
No, sir. She had heart issues.
Heart issues?
Yes, sir.
And what was her name?
If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was Gloria.
Okay. Who is Rosa?
I have no idea.
Okay. Now, Zanny had a sister, did she not?
Yes.
And what was Zanny's sister's name?
I did not find out about Zanny's sister until after July of 2008.
What was Zanny's sister's name?
Samantha.
And was she older or younger than Zanny?
I believe she was older.
Was Samantha also a nanny?
No, sir, I don't believe so.
Did she live with Juliet and Raquel and Zanny together?
Juliet did not live with Zanny.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And as far as I know, her sister was either married or lived on her own with her children.
Did you ever see a photograph of Gloria, Zanny's mother?
No, sir.
Did you ever speak to Gloria to wish her well on her heart condition?
No, sir.
Do you have any knowledge, or did you have any knowledge that Gloria was an imaginary person?
No, sir.
What about Samantha?
I never had the opportunity to meet Samantha. I did not know about Samantha until after July of 2008.
What did Casey tell you about, or what information do you have about the uncomfortableness of Zanny and Jeff Hopkins being former boyfriend and girlfriend, and Casey now wanting to marry and move in with Jeff Hopkins?
Object to the relevance of this, Your Honor.
Sustained.
I'll just sum this up, Ms. Anthony. Do you have any information that you've received over the last 3 years or since these people ever were mentioned that they are anything but imaginary people?
I just found out that they are imaginary people.
And you testified under direct examination that up until about 6 weeks ago, you were looking for Zanny the nanny.
Yes, sir. That's correct.
And that was for 3.5, or for 2.5 years, you were looking for Zanny the nanny?
I was looking for Zanny ever since I found out that Caylee was missing.
And what efforts did you engage to try and find Zanny the nanny?
We had tip lines. We looked up every Zenaida Fernandez or Zenaida Gonzalez or Zenaida Rodriguez or whatever came close that was in the state of Florida, New York, North Carolina. George and I, when we were in New York, even followed up on a tip and went to the apartment that we believed that she lived in.
Was this at George's urging or yours?
At mine and George's when he found out that she was in New York or could be in New York.
Well, this was something that you really wanted to pursue.
This is something we both wanted to pursue. When I got the tip that with a physical address, we went to California to follow up on her.
Did you find Zanny the nanny in California?
No, we did not, but we had met a couple that was pretty convinced that she was possibly at a restaurant that they had seen Caylee.
You hired someone by the name of Dominic Casey, did you not?
I never hired Dominic Casey. Dominic Casey worked for you. And when you and Mr. Casey had a falling out, he volunteered to continue to follow up on tips for Caylee.
And he did that for you?
Yes.
And I believe you once made a statement that somebody was being watched in Puerto Rico?
Yes, sir. Mr. Casey thought that Caylee might be in Puerto Rico.
Your Honor, I'm going to object on hearsay and relevance.
Sustained.
As to relevance, Your Honor, this was brought out during direct examination as to some of the methods that...
Still hearsay.
I understand that. May I inquire in another manner?
You can ask another question, but
Yes, sir.
objection sustained.
Did you order your private investigator at the time to follow someone in Puerto Rico?
Yes, I had received a tip.
That objection again, Ms. Burke?
Relevance and hearsay.
Sustained as to relevancy.
Did you hear that, or let me rephrase that, did you ever become aware or did you ever believe that Caylee was flown by a private jet to Puerto Rico?
Your Honor, I'm going to
Sustained. Another subject.
Yes, sir. Let's go back a little bit further in time. I'd like to talk about Casey's high school graduation. When did you first find out that she was not graduating?
objection, relevance.
Relevancy sustained.
Your Honor, I think some of this was brought out during direct examination, not the specific.
Sustained.
Now, Mrs. Anthony, throughout all of these years, it never occurred to you that these stories and these people that Casey was talking about were not real.
No, sir.
So therefore, the reason during the 30 days that you had not seen Caylee, you understood all of these things to be true just as the imaginary people?
I trusted Casey. She'd never given me any reason not to believe in her.
So the answer is yes, the reason you believed in Casey was because certainly you had no knowledge that all of these people were imaginary, and Casey had no reason or no issues that would lead you to cast doubt on what she was telling you.
Objection asked and answered.
Sustained.
Did there come a time where you told law enforcement that you thought Zanny was Amy Huizinga or Jesse Grund?
Object to the relevance. Hearsay.
Overruled.
Yes.
And why did you think that Zanny the nanny was Amy Huizinga or Jesse Grund?
Well, actually, when I spoke to the FBI about it, I wasn't convinced that it was Amy, more like it might be Ricardo Morales. And when I was bringing up the information to the FBI, it was Scott Boland who put the Zanny and Huizinga correlation together.
So you think that the FBI is the one that thought Zanny the nanny was Amy Huizinga?
Object to relevance and then her opinion on the issue.
Sustained as to opinion.
Why did you think Zanny the nanny was Jesse Grund?
I never said that I thought Zanny was Jesse Grund.
Can you explain why you told law enforcement that you thought Zanny was?
Sustained a while ago in a different form, Mr. Baez.
Yes, sir. Have you ever testified that you gave the sheriff's department Zanny's number?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And did you give law enforcement Zanny the nanny's phone number?
I gave one of the deputies on July 15th or the morning of July 16th what I thought was Zanny's phone number.
And as far as you know, that number was never followed up on? Or what happened with that number?
From my understanding, that number was not to a Zenaida Gonzalez, it was to one of Casey's other friends.
Which police officer did you give Zanny the nanny's phone number to?
The officer that was in charge that evening.
Would that be Sergeant Hosey?
Yes, sir.
Mrs. Anthony, do you believe Caylee's alive?
Your Honor, I'm going to object to the relevance of this.
Sustain.
Now I'd like to talk to you, Miss Anthony, about your home,
Yes.
okay? We saw photographs of the inside of your home. Do you recall those?
Yes.
You have white carpet,
It's like a cream color carpet.
and we saw photographs of the sliding glass door that goes out towards the pool.
Yes.
And there is no bar that would prevent Caylee from opening that door.
We
So-
never placed a bar there, no.
Okay. And there's no child safety lock or anything like that for that door?
No, Caylee had difficulty opening the big door.
Okay. Have you ever testified that Casey would get out quite easily?
Casey could, yes.
I'm sorry, and Caylee could.
I may have.
Okay. And that's what led you to believe that Caylee could have drowned in the pool, did it not?
I don't know if I put those in the same sequence.
But it was your opinion that the number one thing that you thought could have happened was Caylee drowning in the pool.
Objection.
Sustained.
Opinion.
How many times did you tell law enforcement about Caylee possibly drowning in the pool?
Baez, I have sustained objection to that question, so move on to another area, please, sir.
The day, within 24 hours of law enforcement getting called, Miss Anthony, did you not tell Detective Melich about the ladder incident?
I'm not sure what ladder incident you're talking about.
About finding the ladder down, attached to the pool on June 17th?
Object to facts not in evidence.
Overruled.
I know at some point, I remember telling the detectives that the ladder, I found the ladder on the pole and the gate open.
And that was on June 17th, was it not?
I believe it was the 16th. Could have been the 17th, but I feel like it was the 16th.
So the 16th, you came home from work and you saw the ladder there.
I came home from work and let the dogs outside. And when I went outside with the dogs, I noticed that the ladder was on the pole. And when I walked to get the ladder off the pole, I noticed that the side gate was open.
And that alarmed you.
Yes, because the dogs were in the backyard, and I didn't want them running into the street, and we never left the gate open.
And this alarmed you so much that the next day when you went to work, you actually told coworkers.
Yes, sir.
You told Debbie Bennett about someone was swimming in your pool.
I had called George that night and asked him if he had worked in the yard and could have potentially left the gate open, and did he cool off in the pool before he went to work? And he said no. And from my knowledge, Casey had not been back home that afternoon, so if it wasn't Casey or George, then it had to be someone else.
My question, ma'am, was that you told Debbie Bennett that someone was swimming in your pool.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I just answered that saying that it wasn't one of us, so I thought it could be someone else.
I understand. You also told Debbie Polisano that someone was swimming in your pool.
Possibly, yes.
Okay. And are you close with Debbie Polisano?
She was my supervisor for a year and a half before I left Gentiva.
So is that a yes or no?
She was my boss. We weren't friendly. Debbie Bennett and I hung out after work. Deborah Polisano and I never hung out after work, so I don't really call being close with her, no.
Did you tell anyone else at work about the ladder being attached to the pool on June 16, 2008?
My work is very open, so if I was talking to Debbie, then pretty much the whole office probably could have heard me speaking to Debbie Bennett.
Okay. Now, Caylee loved to swim, did she not?
Yes, she did.
In fact, when you were on vacation, you guys went swimming every day
Which vacation, sir?
in June of 2008.
Yes, from my second day of vacation, yes.
And you always used the protective vest when going
Yeah.
swimming with her.
Yes, I would take it off before we get out of the pool most of the time, because Caylee liked to get her suit off and go by the jets before we get out. If it was just her and I, I'd leave the vest on, but if someone else was with us, then we would strip her down and someone would get her with the towel and take her in.
And I heard you say she liked to swim naked.
Well, the jet from the pool, we had a little thing, she liked to go over to it and feel it, so,
Who doesn't? Right?
yeah, it feels good on your back and your bottom, so, yes.
Now, did you ever advise law enforcement that you thought maybe Casey forgot to take the ladder down?
I don't recall. I could have. If Casey had the opportunity to come home to swim, she may have.
Now, I know you testified that that you went swimming with Caylee June 15th, 2008,
Yes.
and that it was almost in the evening that the two of you got out of the pool.
Yes, the sun was, it was getting later in the evening, and it was getting kind of chilly in the pool, and we had been in the pool for at least an hour, hour and a half. It was probably about 7 o'clock, 7:30.
And I know you testified that you took the ladder down after you were done.
Yes, I recall taking the ladder down.
Are you 100% certain of that?
As certain as I can be. I'm not sure if anybody's ever 100% certain of anything, but I do recall taking the ladder down. So as much as I can remember from the events, yes, I took the ladder down.
And of course, you would never have to recall this specific event until well after a month later.
No, actually, it would have been the next day when I questioned whether or not someone was in the pool. So within a day, I would have
That's right.
remembered.
Now, do you recall speaking with after this case is over with two men, one by the name of Steph Watts. Do you know who he is?
I know who he is, but I don't know what you're referring to as after this case is over. I don't think this case is ever.
He works for Fox News, or worked at that time for Fox News
At what time are you referring?
in July of 2008.
Yes, I remember Steph Watts being one of the media personnel outside my home, one of many.
And do you recall ever meeting a man by the name of Mark Furman?
Yes, I do.
And he is that police officer from the O.J. Simpson case, is he not?
He was a police officer during the O.J. Simpson case, yes.
Do you remember letting both of these gentlemen into your home?
Yes.
Do you remember speaking to them about this case?
I remember Mr. Furman wanted to speak to us and offer any help that he could with his expertise as a detective.
Now, he's not a detective, though, is he?
Well, not at that time he wasn't.
And he is now a member of the media, is he not?
At that time, I actually found out after speaking with Mr. Furman that he was actually working on behalf of Greta Van Susteren. I didn't realize that at the time when we invited him in our home.
And did you give both of them a tour of your backyard?
Yes.
Did you tell Steph Watts and Mark Furman that you forgot to take the ladder down?
No, sir, I did not.
Now, on June 16, 2008, Casey attempted to call you around 4 p.m., did she not?
Yes, there were several attempts that Casey was trying to reach me that afternoon.
In fact, there was an abnormal amount of calls to you, unsuccessful calls?
At that time, I didn't know it was an abnormal amount. It was a Monday afternoon, and Mondays are very busy for me, and I was getting ready for a meeting, which a lot of my information on my projects were being discussed. So I remember coming out and knowing that she had called me around 4 o'clock.
Mrs. Anthony, I know that a lot of this in hindsight, but at the time, I totally understand the difference of your knowledge. But at that time, around 4 p.m. on that afternoon, there were numerous calls, unsuccessful calls from Casey to you in that afternoon, were there not?
Am I to answer, did I know at that time or now?
Now, do you know that right
Yes,
now?
I know that now.
Okay. Now I'd like to talk to you about July 15th of 2008. You testified that you, well, several days earlier on the 13th of July, let's focus on the 13th, is the day you found the certified letter on your door,
I found the notice that alerted us to a certified letter.
the notice.
Yes.
Is that common for you to receive the certified notice on your door as opposed to in your mailbox?
We have a community mailbox that's a few doors down from us, and I don't think they're allowed to put those kind of notices in the community mailbox, so that they're supposed to put them where a person can see them readily.
So whenever you get the notices in the mail for certified letter, it's always on the door, never in the mailbox.
I've never received a certified notice in our mailbox, no.
And you testified that you received it on the 13th of July,
Yes, it was a Sunday afternoon.
and that you thought the notice said 10th or 11th of July.
On the notice, it gives you, there's a date, there's several things on the notice. It tells you where to go pick it up. There's a box that says there's a place where the postman can write when he puts it down, and I believe the date that was handwritten on there that he put it on our door was either the 10th or the 11th, which would have been, I guess, Thursday or Friday.
When you called the police on July 15th, 2008, what day did you tell them you found that notice on your door?
When I called the police,
Yes.
I don't think I talked about the notice when I called the police. I talked about getting this stuff from the car. The notice about the car, the certified letter, is probably what I was referring to and not the notice, that we got the notice that day.
Okay, so do you recall telling the police that you had gotten it that day?
I was referring to the certified letter, not the notice that was on the front door.
But you do recall telling them that you received it on that day?
I do recall, I just listened to my 911 calls, that I did say that we found the car that day, and that was as a result of getting the notice from the tow company that our car was at Johnson's Towing.
Now, when you got the car and it was in the garage, it was your understanding that what you were smelling was garbage, was it not?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And you're clear about that,
Yes, sir.
okay? And the reason you said in the 911 tape that the car smelled like a dead body was because, can you tell the ladies and gentlemen of the jury why?
I don't know why I said it that night. It just came out. Everything else I had thought about up until the third phone call. And the third phone call that I made to the 911, it just blurted out along with everything else.
The first time you called 911, you never told them about any dead body in your car.
I didn't have a relevance, or the car didn't enter my mind, except for the fact that I had asked Casey at one time to come home, and I told her to bring the car home. And when she didn't come home, I used that as an excuse to speak to the police.
You used what as an excuse to speak to the police?
The car that had been stolen.
Okay. My question to you is, in either the first or the second 911 call, did you ever tell them anything about the car smelling like a dead body?
No, I never referenced the smell of the car.
And have you ever testified that the reason you told them the car smelled like a dead body was because you wanted the police to get there right away?
I wanted the police to get there before I called them, yes.
My question is, have you ever testified that the reason you mentioned that the car smelled like a dead body was because the police were taking a long time to get there and you wanted them there right then and there?
Yes, sir.
Now, you said that you got the notice early around lunchtime. Correct. The letter, actually, knowing that the car was towed. Is that correct?
I never picked up the letter. George did.
George, you became aware of it.
Yes, before lunch.
And you, in fact, spoke to Casey on 12:47, 12:57, and 1:10 p.m. that afternoon, did you not?
I spoke with her and left messages for her during those times.
And,
This would be a good time to break.
yes, sir.
Okay. Members of the jury, we're going to take our mid-afternoon recess to 3 o'clock. I'm going to ask you not to discuss the case among yourselves, it would be time for those who need to take the special recess to also take it also at this time. Any additional instructions on behalf of the state or the defense? Okay, we'll be in recess to 3 o'clock.
Told me that Casey had called, and I had some phone calls on my cell phone, some missed phone calls.
During the course of this case, you've come to know that there were actually 6 calls within 4 minutes, correct? Does that sound fair to you?
I never realized there were 6 until now, but yes, I knew there were several, more than 3 or 4.
Okay. One at 4:10, 4:11, 4:11, 4:13.
I'm going to object. Mr. Bias is testifying. The witness has said she did not know.
Sustained.
Oh, hold on. Now, you work for Gentiva, is that correct?
Yes,
That's home health care?
yes,
And you have health insurance?
I had health insurance through there, yes.
Okay. Now, I'd like to talk about July 15th. That's where we were at before the break. I would, at this time, with the court's permission, like to play an item that's already in evidence. It's the third 911 call, a short portion of that, if I may.
Any objections from the state? You may proceed, Mr. Bias.
I didn't know I was going to have to work the electronic remote control, Judge. I think it's dead. Is there a way?
Yes. What's the exhibit number so the record be abundantly clear?
It's working. States 56.
Okay.
Okay. I just hit publish now.
So it's Caylee, listen. Caylee, listen. Casey said Danny took her a month ago. She's been missing for a month. Okay,
That's the portion, I don't know if you caught that. Was that the portion where you told George about what was going on?
Yes, there's sometime during that period of time, I had the phone in my hand, waiting for the sheriff's office to come, and I saw George pull up. And when he got out of the car, I was trying to tell him at the same time talking to the dispatcher.
Okay, I'm going to play a little bit further back, a little longer. Another 5 seconds of it. Right there.
date of birth. 8/9/2000. Oh God, she's 3. She's 2005. So it's Caylee, listen. Caylee, listen. Casey said Danny took her a month ago. She's been missing for a month. Okay, I need.
You don't hear George Anthony saying anything other than what on that tape, do you?
I was yelling to George as he was getting out of the car. He parked his car on the street, and I was still in the driveway, kind of close to the house.
Other than the word what, do you hear him say anything on that 911 tape?
I don't hear him say anything. I didn't hear him say anything.
Okay. Now, when you arrived home and you began to question Casey with Lee, only you and Lee were involved in that, correct?
Yes.
George was not involved in that.
No.
And George didn't question her in reference to any of this, did he?
I don't know if George ever had, or if George had contact with Casey, I wasn't aware.
So you're not aware if George had any contact with Casey when this all occurred?
Time frame, he was not home until that third 911 call. And then as he was coming home, then the sheriff's department arrived. So everything just happening, everybody converged all at once, and everything became a big, just jumble. Everybody was in the house at that point, and we
And
were
he-
all pushed aside.
And he never had the opportunity to question her, according,
As far as I know, no, because once the sheriff's office came, we were all separated.
okay. Now, on your 911 tape, you state that Caylee had been missing since June 7th. Is that correct?
Yes, I wasn't looking at a calendar, and I didn't reference Father's Day at that point. I just knew that it was a month, and
And that's even though if you count back 31 days from that date, it would have been June 16th.
probably, yes.
Now, you gave a sworn statement to law enforcement that evening. Do you recall that?
Yes.
Do you recall the date you gave for that statement?
Again, it was I wrote down the wrong Sunday. It was the Sunday before Father's Day, and then I was not intending it to be that day. I did not realize, I just got my dates wrong.
I understand, but do you recall the date that you gave on that day?
Yeah, it was the
For that
Sunday
statement.
before Father's Day, so
What day do you recall that being?
be the 9th? No, the 7th, yes, the 7th.
7th. If I showed you your statement, would that refresh your recollection?
Yes, please.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may approach.
June 8th.
Does that refresh your recollection, ma'am?
Yes,
And what date did you put in your written statement?
June 8th, which would have been the Sunday before the 15th.
So in the 911 call, you mentioned it was the 7th. In your written statement, you write the 8th. Is that correct?
I don't know, if did I say June 7th on the 911 call?
Yes, if I showed you
Okay,
the trend.
I don't want to hear it again.
Okay.
If that's what it was, then I did. Again, that last call, I was hysterical.
You later found out it was June 15th, was it not?
Yes,
And the way you found out was from law enforcement.
correct.
And that's because they took a look at the video of Caylee with your father.
Correct.
And they then wanted to go and speak to people at the home where your father was at. Is that not correct?
Yeah, they wanted to verify that date.
And you did not want law enforcement to go speak with them at the home or to disturb your father.
I was concerned about my father, who was very ill at the time. I didn't want sheriff's deputies or anybody showing up at a nursing home upsetting him or my mother.
So the answer is yes, ma'am? You didn't want law enforcement to go and speak to anyone at the home or to your father?
Correct.
And your father is still alive today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so that evening, when police arrived, did you not tell the responding detective that Casey had issues with seizures?
Are we,
I'm going to object to the relevance of this.
Relevancy?
We're discussing July 15th, Judge.
Sustain?
Ma'am, you testified that you are a registered nurse,
Yes, sir.
and are you currently working as a registered nurse?
No, sir.
And what are you doing for a living now?
Objection, relevance.
Overall?
I'm on disability right now.
Okay. And that is as a result of this case?
Yes, sir.
Do you have a financial interest in this case?
No, sir, I do not.
Have you started an organization by the name of Caylee Marie Foundation? Caylee Marie Anthony Foundation.
Yes, sir.
Have you trademarked Caylee's name?
Yes, our attorneys filed the correct paperwork for that, yes.
Have you made any money off of this case?
We've lost money off this case, sir. I've lost a lot off this case, sir.
Have you sold photographs of your daughter and your granddaughter for $20,000 to CBS in this case?
My old attorney, Brad Conway, set that up so that he could get paid.
And you paid him the entire $20,000?
No, a portion of that.
How much of that did you keep?
I had to pay bills with that. He got $6,000.
He got $6,000?
Yes, sir.
Have you discussed or flown to New York to discuss with anyone reference a book deal?
Again, that was set up through my ex-attorney, Brad Conway.
Did you go with him when he went to New York to try and arrange a book deal?
Yes,
Did your husband go with you?
yes.
Did anyone else go with you?
To our surprise, we met Tom Luca up there. We did not know he was going to be there.
And he is,
He-
he was your son's attorney.
Yes.
And was he trying to negotiate a book deal for your son?
No, sir, he was not.
What was he doing there?
I have no idea.
Have you attempted to earn a living as a director of the Caylee Marie Anthony Foundation?
No, sir, have not.
Have you engaged in numerous fundraising activities for this foundation?
No, sir, we have not.
Has this foundation done anything?
Yes, sir, it has.
Okay. And do you currently have any negotiations with any media outlets in reference to future interviews or future projects involving this case?
No, sir, I do not.
Have you flown to New York to meet with ABC News?
Not for a long time.
How many networks have you flown to New York to discuss possible projects with?
The projects were already done. We went up there for the daytime events when Caylee was still missing. And we went up there and did a 48-hour interview, and we have not been back since.
If I can have just one moment, Judge.
You may.
have no further questions at this time.
Any redirect?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mrs. Anthony, you testified on cross-examination that Caylee was always provided with food, clothing, and shelter, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Those were items provided by you. You provided food to your granddaughter, Caylee, correct? Did you provide food for your granddaughter, Caylee?
You can answer.
Okay. Yes, yes, ma'am, I did.
The clothing that Caylee had, did you provide clothing for your granddaughter, Caylee?
A lot of people provided clothing for Caylee, but I was probably the primary person. Yes.
Okay. Did you like to spoil Caylee with clothes?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The house where Caylee lived, did you provide?
Just beyond the scope.
Did you provide the shelter for your granddaughter?
Yes, ma'am.
You are also asked during cross-examination about your daughter's weight as it exists today. You've come to many court proceedings over the course of the last almost 3 years, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And since July 15th of 2008, has your daughter's weight fluctuated while she's been incarcerated?
Yes, ma'am, it has.
When you found out that she was pregnant, you asked her who the father was, and she said Jesse Grund. Did you provide that information to your husband, George?
Yes, ma'am, I did.
When you had individuals associated with Greta Van Susteren at your residence, was that in August of 2008?
Probably yes.
Did you tell those individuals anything other than the gate had been opened on or about June 17th of 2008?
Yes, I discussed the fact that the gate was open and that I had discovered the pool had the ladder on it.
All right. Do you remember giving them a date more specific than June 17th or that week of 2008?
No, I just vaguely remember that conversation. It wasn't something that had a significant impact on me at that time.
Do you recall telling your coworkers, you mentioned Debbie Bennett, Debbie Polisano, would that also include Mr. Crittenden,
Yes, ma'am.
that the incident regarding the pool ladder and the gate was a few days before the gas can incident of June 24th?
Yes, it was prior to the gas can incident.
That gate that you have on the side of your house can only be opened from the inside, correct?
If it's locked, yes.
Were you in the habit of keeping it locked?
For the most part, unless we were using it frequently. Like if we were, working in the front yard, we wouldn't lock it every time we went out front, but yes. If we were gone, we usually locked the gate.
Okay. Can you provide any testimony as to whether or not the gate was locked from the inside on June 15th, 16th, 17th, or any time that week?
The only time I know the gate was not locked, that I know for sure, was the 16th when I found it was open. I had no reason to go over there after that Sunday, the 13th, when we were doing yard work.
So it could only be locked from the inside,
Correct.
and you didn't unlock it, correct?
Correct.
When you called George and asked about the gate and the pool incident, he didn't say he unlocked it.
No, ma'am, he did not.
Caylee was unable to reach that lock or do that mechanism, correct?
Correct, it was too tall for her.
All right. And so who else does that leave in the house?
Casey.
When you told the people at work that it smelled like there was a dead body in the car, you referred to that as a manner of speech.
Go.
I'm sorry.
When you told the people at work that the car smelled like there had been a dead body in it, you referred to that earlier as a manner of speaking, correct?
Correct.
And when you told the police that the car smelled like there was a dead body in it, it's your testimony that that was just to get them there faster, correct?
That was, I wanted them there faster, so I said whatever came to my head.
Did you tell any of the people at your office that the car smelled like garbage?
I believe I told them that George and the tow driver had pulled a bag of garbage out, and the car had been sitting there in the hot sun since June 30th, or probably before when Casey left it at Amscott, so I'd never smelled anything that was left in the car that long.
All right. But when you were talking to them about it, you used the words dead body, correct?
Correct, 'cause,
Same words you used with law enforcement, correct? In the
correct.
911 call.
correct.
Did that car smell like a dead body?
That car smelled like something I had never smelled before.
Worse than the experience that you had with rotting flesh in your employment?
I would say so because it was just a bigger surface.
Now, when you were played a section of the 911 calls, the 911 call that you made, and you described your husband, George, coming up as you were on the phone, what did he say?
I can't remember what he said. I just remember being hysterical and running to him and pretty much collapsing. I almost went all the way down into the driveway, and I remember him picking me up.
All right. Did he appear to be upset to you?
Yes, he was quite upset.
Did he have a reaction similar to yours?
Yes.
And shortly after your husband arrived, law enforcement arrived and separated you all?
Yes, it was within seconds.
The copywriting or trademarking of your granddaughter's name, is that to prevent the exploitation of Caylee Marie Anthony by strangers?
Yes, ma'am.
During your cross-examination, you told us about Zanny and Jeff Hopkins and other elaborate lies told to you by your daughter. Those lies began after Caylee was born, didn't they?
Yes, ma'am.
And those lies were always in the context of either who was caring for Caylee or why Casey wasn't home. Is that correct?
Not necessarily, because Jeff Hopkins' name came up, it was more about a discussion Casey and I had about Jessie and her relationship.
So aside from that one, somebody who was a potential suitor, the elaborate lies that you've detailed for us,
Ma'am, listen closely to the question. Do not answer the question until I tell you to answer it.
other than those, did the elaborate lies center around who was caring for Caylee?
It was also regarding her employment and everything else, so it was,
Or why Casey wasn't at home?
yes. Yes.
That's all the follow-up I had. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes, sir. Mrs. Anthony, you stated that the car had smelled nothing like you had smelled before.
Correct.
And what you had smelled before was dead bodies, correct?
The car was overwhelming. It smelled different than I had smelled garbage or dead bodies.
So it smelled like something completely different.
The closest thing that I could resemble it to would be rotting flesh.
Okay. And did you call the police when you smelled this rotting flesh in your home?
I did not believe it was rotting flesh.
And that's because you believed it to be garbage.
Yes, sir.
Now, you mentioned during the 911 call under cross or redirect that George's reaction was similar to yours, correct?
George was visibly upset after he picked me up and I started hugging him. He started to cry and weep as much as I did.
My question, ma'am, is you testified that his reaction was similar to yours.
Yes,
And we could hear your reaction on that 911 tape, could we not?
yes,
We did not hear George's reaction on that 911 tape, did we?
because George was quite a ways away at that point.
My question is, we did not hear George's reaction on that 911 tape, did we?
No, sir.
Now, Ms. Drain Burdick, during redirect, mentioned that all of these lies began when Caylee was born. Do you recall that?
Yes,
Do you recall Casey's graduation?
yes,
And you had a party planned and a big celebration for her high school graduation.
yes,
You invited people,
yes.
and what happened on Casey's graduation day?
Well, prior to Casey's graduation day, we got a word from her guidance counselor that she was shy 1/2 credit of her necessary credit. She had actually more credits than she needed to graduate, but she was missing a quarter makeup English that we thought she had finished.
And if it wasn't for this phone call that you received on the 11th hour, you would have had this party.
We would have gone to graduation.
And Casey would have walked up to get her diploma, and they would have stopped her and said, hey,
It wasn't the 11th hour, sir. We knew the day before, but we had already planned everything. So they said she was going to graduate. She was just not allowed to walk for graduation, so we carried on with the party.
the day before Casey graduated from high school, you had a entire party planned, but if it wasn't for that phone call, you were all going to go to the graduation.
Correct.
No further questions. And that was before Caylee was born, right?
Yes, sir.
No further questions.
Okay, may the witness stand down.
Yes, Your Honor, subject to recall.
Okay, ma'am, you may stand down. Okay. All right, let's remove the jury for a minute. There's some matters we need to take up outside of your presence.
All rise to the jury.
You may be seated. Okay. As to state's exhibit MR composite, which is the judgment and sentences of, I believe, contains 6 felony convictions for the defendant Caylee Marie Anthony. Mr. Baez, I think you objecting to these being entered at this time?
Yes, sir. Actually, what I would like would be if we could address this in the morning, because I think what we have is an issue where we believe we would have some argument as to whether that would be even possible. My understanding, and Mr. Mason's, is that this relates to testimony that would be elicited from the defense of the defendant. However, throughout the direct examination of Ms. Jane Burdick, she constantly and consistently elicited statements from the defendant. And it is our position that the cross-examination was in rebuttal to the specific questioning of that under direct examination. I think it would be, one, the burden of the prosecutor to show that the areas of which the defense elicited testimony, and I think the underlying theory under Huggins would be that one cannot elicit statements from the defendant and circumvent them taking the stand. However, that is in the scenario where the defense would elicit that, as opposed to the prosecution during direct examination constantly and continually elicit statements from the defendant. And that would be our position. I would like to be able to see if we could provide additional authority on that. In the alternative, I still think that it is required from the prosecution to show that these statements were not elicited from the prosecution during their direct examination.
State in a response.
Your Honor, I understand the court is familiar with Huggins. It is the defendant who has placed before the jury out-of-court statements made by his client. Some of those statements were on different subjects than were elicited on direct. I don't believe there's any requirement that we show that their eliciting the statements has anything to do with rebuttal, but the court will recall that Mr. Baez elicited statements about the paternity of Caylee Marie Anthony, having to do with Jesse Grund and then an Eric Baker. We objected to those statements. He was allowed to do that. And once he places the credibility of his client before the jury in the form of an out-of-court statement, he opens the door to have that testimony impeached with her prior felony convictions.
I recollected those specific instances where I asked her, and I asked her how she knew, and I think even the court interjected if she found out from the defendant. And that's the...
But you did elicit hearsay statements that emanated from the defendant. This is what I'm going to do. The case that the state is referencing is the state of Florida versus John Stephen Huggins, found at 889 7 2nd 743. I think that was decided in 2004. That's Huggins 2 after his direct appeal. December 2nd, 2004 decision of the Florida Supreme Court, which they adopted the views of the first and fourth DCA. I'm trying to see who. Case was actually tried over in Hillsborough County in Tampa. According to the judgment and sentence, there are 6 felony convictions. The burden, if any, Mr. Baez, would be upon you to show. Since it does have somewhat of a devastating effect, I will permit you to argue this in the morning, but from what I understand about Huggins, since I was the trial judge at that time and made that ruling, which was affirmed by the Florida Supreme Court, and it was on a subject totally unrelated to what was brought out on direct examination. I will give you an opportunity to present your case in the morning at 8:30. You will have 10 minutes to make your argument, and the state would likewise have 10 minutes to respond. As with in Huggins, we will take this up in the morning. I will let this go into evidence if you don't persuade me otherwise, but this will not be given to the jury. There will be simply a statement to the jury that there is an evidence that the defendant has been convicted of 6 prior felonies, and I will tell them that they are only to consider that evidence, weigh into the defendant's credibility of the hearsay statements which were elicited, and solely for that purpose of judging the credibility and not for any other purpose. Madam Court Reporter, you may not be able to give me an answer at this time, but we may need a transcript of Ms. Anthony's testimony just of today, along with the cross. You can email me a dirty copy, but at least have a clean copy by in the morning. I authorized the overtime for that. If the defense wants a dirty copy, I don't know if you are saving yours. Are you saving your real time? Well, okay. He said he didn't know they could.
He will show me during the break.
There's a program called Bridge where you can annotate issues in the whole. I thought maybe y'all had taken the time to talk with them about it. There are a lot of features to that program that you can utilize to save testimony and go back and recall issues and a number of other things. But that's what we will do. The state really needs to pull out of that section so I can reference the specific testimony that you are talking about, because it has to be surgical and not a shotgun approach for the utilization of the 6 prior felony convictions. But that's what we will do. All right. But make sure before you leave, you will leave an email address with Ms. Peters so she can email that to you this evening, both the state and the defense. Okay, who is the state's next witness?
Your Honor, the state's next witness would be Amy Huizinga.
We definitely need some time on that, Judge. We were told that Ms. Huizinga was in Barcelona and not given any advance notice of her testimony.
Well, did you take her deposition, Mr. Baez?
I don't even think I have a file here.
Mr. Baez was advised that Ms. Huizinga was in Barcelona and would not be coming to Orlando until this past weekend. So yes, Barcelona was mentioned. That's why she's not necessarily in the order that we had intended to call her, but he was advised that she would be coming this past.
How long is her direct examination?
I would anticipate somewhere around 30 minutes, maybe 40 at tops.
Well, where's her, when you say her file, where's her file?
It's a significant file, and it is.
No, that's not the question I asked. Where is her file?
I had some research on it. It's in Pacific.
I don't know if the court,
In Kissimmee, I was over the weekend working on it, and I certainly did not expect her to be called today, considering that we believe she was in Barcelona. I would ask for, I guess, an early recess if.
then that means if we take an early recess today, I will work you the entire day Saturday. Because if I take some time today, I'm going to get it back this week.
Judge, I would much prefer a full cross-examination for my client, so if you want me to work Saturday, I'll be here.
Well, folks, you clearly asked for room to store files. I offered that entire hallway in the back, which is secured, to store files. Now, unless something has changed, you did not store files there last week. And I have not walked down that hallway today, but I take it that you have not stored any files down that hallway, have you?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you say.
You have not utilized the hallway to store files this week.
No, we have not, but as I had mentioned, I took the file
Okay.
to my office to work on over the weekend.
This is what we would do. We would take her direct testimony and we will stop after her direct testimony, but let me make myself plain and clear. If you want files, you better put them in there. I am not stopping any more for you to get a file. As I tried to explain to both sides, you're not sequestered. You go home every evening. These folks are. And as you notice, they wanted to work Memorial Day. For various reasons, y'all did not want to work Memorial Day. So whatever you were doing Memorial Day, and they were here away from their families. I think some of them may have visitation on Sunday, but folks, they are sequestered. I will admit that y'all have done everything possible to make it pleasant for them. But we need to be mindful that they are sequestered and that while we will take as much time as we need to take to try this case, we cannot waste time. So if anybody needs to step out, you got 5 minutes to step out. Anybody needs to step out? Then we'll take 5 minutes and then we'll get started.